Well, happy Friday evening to you. Chris Hare here, the world champion crypto cowboy, bringing you an update on Terra Luna Classic. It has had a face melting run, but is it time for it to cool off? And how far is it going to go? Is this it? Was it just a fake out? We're going to break it all down in the charts and figure out exactly what's going on, starting with an hourly chart all the way out to that weekly chart. I'll give you some short and long range targets that'll get you through this weekend and probably through the next couple of weeks. So stick around for that. I am a world champion rodeo cowboy in the team roping and mounted shooting events, and I'm taking the strategies and the discipline that it takes to win those because they don't just hand them out. I'm going to bring those strategies and things that I do out there time into crypto, and if you stick around long enough, I'm going to make all y'all world champion crypto traders. So go ahead and like, subscribe, tap that bell notification. You are not going to want to miss a single episode. But I start off all of them with the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. This measures market sentiment. It tells us if people are scared, if people are greedy, what in the world's going on. Right now, we're at about a 27. We've been all the way down to a 7 or a 9. I can't remember, but we were at 24 about 2 days ago. So we've been working up. My concern with working up that fast on market sentiment is that if we go into greed really fast, I think this run is short-lived. But if we hold out for a little bit, I think there's an opportunity for some more upside. But that's what it does. It measures market sentiment. It tells us if people are scared or if they're greedy, what's going on. I use it to make small spot purchases. When we drop down into fear and extreme fear, I dollar cost average in. And I've made some small purchases just to show you guys how it works on a BitUnix exchange. And currently, Solana and Ethereum are down about 6 and 8%. They were down double digits, and Bitcoin was actually in profit yesterday. So we're just pulling back a little bit. This takes a little time to materialize, but it's worked as a pretty good strategy for me. When it gets into greed, I sell it off, and then I'll wait for fear and do it all again. But if you need a good exchange to trade on, go ahead and check out BitUnix. You'll find a link to that in my description. There's no KYC. You can trade spot or leverage. You get a bonus on your first deposit, and you get a little better trading fee, so go ahead and check that out. Looking at altcoin season, we are not there yet, but Terra Luna, you couldn't tell, hit that. It's ran absolutely off. We're at a 37, but it's relevant, kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about. But usually what happens when we get into these Bitcoin seasons, when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins trickle up. When Bitcoin pulls back, altcoins absolutely bleed. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on now. We'll start off with the liquidation heat map. This tells us where everyone's liquidation points are. Market makers use it to track your liquidity. They don't really use a lot of TA. They just move the chart up and down, grabbing liquidation points. And right now, I think they've kind of maxed out on what was onto the upside. So now they've got to come back and do some retests. But cumulatively, you've got about $1.25 million worth of short trades to the top side. Down below price action, you've got about 7.76 million. So that tells me we're coming down a little bit. There's some bright pockets here at about 0.047, and then down here at about 0.03, 0.04. So the question begs, how far did we pull back? But I'm going to go ahead and pull up the charts. We'll figure that out. I do post all of these charts in the crypto school. There's a link to that in my description. Great lineup of coaches there. You have direct access to me. I do provide signals that when there's an opportunity. We haven't done any in a couple of days, but it's just kind of been sideways and ugly, and I didn't know that Terra Luna was running like it was. But on the hourly chart, you can see we've made a face-melting run since about the 4th of December and kind of topped out here at about 0.705. Now we're kind of working on our retest. So what I did is I pulled a Fibonacci from swing low to swing high, and it gives us some pretty accurate price targets. In a bullish run, sometimes you come down to the 382 to the half, and that's where your bounce point is. I don't think it is here, but you may get some kind of brief relief and then come on down to this golden zone right about 0.4232 to 3465. Your 50 simple and your 50 smooth moving average sit there, so that takes 50 of these candles, puts a fluid line on the chart, works as excellent support and resistance. They'd work as a great bounce point, especially on an hourly chart. And with it being in our golden zone, I think that's probably where you're going to bounce. If you go out to the 4-hour chart, it kind of reiterates the same thing. I'm going to kind of breeze through these 1 hour, 4 hour, give you your bottom targets, and then we're going to go out to a macro on a daily and a weekly chart, and I'll give you the upside targets. But you can see, like, we've topped out, and nothing moves in straight lines, guys. They've got to retrace. They've got to do a little bit of a correction. Like I said, 53.05 to 47.65 would be your first targets. I really think with your 50 moving averages sitting down here, your 200 sitting at about 38.17, I really think you come down in this golden zone somewhere in between 42.25 and 34.56 for your rebound. Once you get down to a point where you can rebound, I think there's a pretty good move left in the tank. You can tell on the daily golden zone, this retracement area sits at about 49.92 to 43.41. Your 50 moving averages sit here. They're going to start curling up. So I think that's probably where you can think about a bounce, but you may bounce here at about 36.90. I don't know that we'll go a lot lower. We had that horrible wick from, the flash crash back in October, and we filled out about 50% of that wick. That's bullish. Market makers typically like to fill out about 50 to 80% of those wicks, so I think we can check that off the box of things that need to happen. But we rejected off this 200 moving average, so that tells me pretty much we're going to come down, retest these 50 moving averages down here, 44 to, what did we say, about 30, 38. And then I think you have a run for the upside. 50.76 to 60.27. 87.77 to 107.36. If you break out of this daily golden zone, your 200 smooth moving average will be sitting there. That basically takes about 200 of these candles, puts a fluid line on the chart, works as support and resistance as well. The only reason I'm hesitant to go up to those extensions yet is because of Bitcoin and the way that it has behaved. If Bitcoin sets in a lower high, then we're in a bear market, and I think everything kind of goes south with it. That would put you around 22.26 to 17.84. If Bitcoin gets a big run, I think 35.06 to 44.16 isn't out of the question, and you do have an opportunity for about 74.89. So that gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on Terra Luna Classic. What I will tell you is it looks very similar to a run that ICP had just recently, so I'm kind of hesitant to say that we go up, but it looks pretty promising. But if you look at those ICP videos, you kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. It happened about 3 months ago, and it's been in a pullback ever since. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. I think it's probably the outlier. It sure looks like it's got room to run, but I want you to be aware of that. It may just be an algorithmic pump that just doesn't go anywhere after this. But keep that in mind when you're trading. If you need an exchange to trade on, like I said, BitUnix, I've got a link down there, is available for you. And don't forget to check out the Crypto School. But like, subscribe, tap that bell notification. You'll get updates as soon as we upload a video. And don't forget to leave us a comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And honestly, I really enjoy hearing from you people. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. I've got some videos coming out tomorrow. You're going to want to stick around and subscribe and hear about those. But I'm Chris Hare, the World Champion Crypto Cowboy. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you down the road.